So, hello and welcome to our show, The Awakening, here on WGSN-DB, the Going Bold and Going Solo Network. The information and opinions expressed on this show are just that, the opinions of the individual speaking based on their individual personal experiences. They are not intended to diagnose and do not constitute professional advice or recommendations. My name is Tina Huggins, your divorce coach specialist, divorce consultant, restorative family mediator, and conflictual co-parenting coach. And we've got a new co-host tonight, and this is Matthew Hoffman. So I will turn it over to you, Matthew.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Matthew P. Hoffman, and I am a relationship coach. Help men and women to make the relationships the way they'd like them to be. And today's show is The Importance of a Divorce Coach with Dr. Susan Bernstein. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Susan. She's the owner of Divorce Coach Plus and has 10 years of experience as a certified divorce coach, CDC, and a certified high conflict divorce coach, HCDC. She earned her bachelor's, master's, and doctorate in education, leadership, and child development, and was a school teacher, administrator, and college professor before entering the divorce professional world. This background helps her clients immensely in custody battles and parenting plans, including her specialty of divorce with families that have a special needs child. Susan teaches the Graduate Mastermind course for divorce coaches and is an instructor for several divorce certification programs. She speaks at numerous local and national events and guest podcasts for national and international groups. She's known as the coach that other coaches and attorneys hire to get them through their own complex divorces, as well as multimillionaires, billionaires, and celebrities. So welcome, Susan. We're glad to have you with us today.
Thank you, Tina and Matthew.
So a lot of people, and I know I've mentioned this to you, Susan, but it's been a long time, so you may not remember me talking about it, but I know back when I talked to you about it, you didn't remember that I had called you way before I ever even knew there were real such things as divorce coaches to help me navigate my late husband's divorce. So I've known Susan for over 7 years. And Susan not only gave me some good information back then, although we didn't hire her at that point, we got some great information as to how we could move forward. And because of that conversation, that's how I found out about the CDC, which is where she got her initial training and where I got my initial training. And then over the years, Susan's became a mentor for me. And so I kind of like set my path and followed hers until I started getting on my own feet and could run in my own little direction. So I am super excited to have you on today, Susan. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. And it works both ways. I know we learn from each other, so I'm glad to be here.
So what made you, I mean, we kind of talked just briefly there about me. What made you want to get into divorce coaching?
So really, it was going through my own divorce. As Matthew had mentioned, I was an educator, an educational consultant. And when I went through my own divorce, which was high conflict, hidden money, custody battles, domestic abuse, and I had 3 young children, and my oldest of the 3 had severe special needs. I said, well, why is this all happening? And I had an epiphany and I switched from educational consulting to divorce consulting. I didn't even know there was such a thing about divorce coaching. I just hung up my shingle as a divorce consultant. And then I heard about the Certified Divorce Coach program, went through that, have 6 other divorce coaching certificates with all those specialties, and enjoyed teaching for several of the programs. So bringing my love of teaching and coaching together and really helping individuals get unstuck. I say my career is my passion. I work all the time, but I don't feel like I work because I love what I do.
Yeah, I had a brief conversation with you through text and stuff where you said you had worked, what, a 16-hour day that day? I was like, oh my gosh.
Yes. It's true. Well, you hear half the country gets divorced, and people need support. And, I think attorneys and mediators are great, but I think you need the team approach, and you can't put everything on them or they get burnout. So having, a coach really can make a difference.
Yeah. So Matthew, you don't know that much about divorce coaching, so I'm going to let you just kind of quiz her about divorce coaching.
Yeah, I mean, and you guys can both jump in, but Susan, I love to hear. So, are there common issues with people that you work with? Well, like, what are the most common three issues that usually lead people to saying, we're getting divorced? Do you see recurring themes there? Or tell me about how people come to you and what those reasons seem to be.
Absolutely. So I definitely, over the last 10 plus years, have seen trends. So the first trend is definitely related to mental health issues of a spouse. And really, it can just be anyone who's unstable. So it can be an addiction issue, a personality issue, but those mental health instability issues create stress in a marriage. And after so long of not being able to fix it, people then want to, get out. And ideally, as a coach, we help them get out as smoothly as possible. So that's the first thing that I clump together. The second area is one of my specialties is the intersection of divorce with special needs children. And the research shows that, yes, half the country gets divorced, but 80% of people with a special needs child will be divorced by the time that child is 21. Obviously, when people get married, they don't have a crystal ball about divorce. And when people get pregnant, they don't have a crystal ball if they're going to have a special needs child. And of course, it's not that child's fault, but there's so many additional considerations. And the tension on it really plays. So there's a high rate there as a trend. And then the third trend I see is the tie between people who have multiples. Many people who have twins and triplets, the divorce rates are higher. And I also see a high rate of people who marry people from other countries. So a lot of times it's immediate love and passion, and then they realize, wait a second, there's not that much in common, and they jump to it. So the third one is really a tie, but as you mentioned, those trends, those patterns, and those are really the people who need the extra handholding. Both Tina and I have a specialty for helping with the high conflict divorce. We won't turn an amicable divorce away, but those people going through an amicable divorce need us for a short time period versus the high conflict one. It's ongoing, including, as Tina knows, post-divorce issues.
Yeah, when you're in a conflictual situation, those divorce situations go on. So one of the things that I found interesting that you just said, I knew about the first two, but the third one with the twin, well, not the third, it would be the second with the one with the twins.
Yes.
My late husband had two sets of twins,
Oh.
and he had 6 kids altogether and 2 sets of twins. And so I haven't experienced that trend, but the
Yeah.
other 2 trends I get quite frequently.
Yes. Yes.
So it's interesting that you should say, so of those three issues, being someone who's in a relationship coach, you always think like, what's the antidote, right? I mean, you're treating like you're saying, here's the cause and we're there. We got to figure out how to walk away. Do you think are there things that you have seen or can relate to that people can do before they arrive there? So like, are there antidotes to these three things that you see that people, hey, if you don't want to end up here, these are things maybe you should consider discussing or trying?
Absolutely. So, what I tell everyone is, is safety an issue? And if safety is an issue, then we have to get you out and we have to expedite it because that's not fixable. We don't want to give someone an opportunity to give them another chance to be safe, right? So if safety is an issue, it's not fixable, get them out. If money is an issue where someone is liquidating someone's assets or ringing up someone's debt, we have to keep a close eye because that also could be financially damaging. It might or might not be fixable, and there's some solutions with that. But the really big thing is communication, right? Being able to communicate. We've all heard of the 5 languages of love, knowing what your partner needs, right? And being able to communicate your needs, your wants, and what it is, and keep that intimacy alive. Relationships take work. I tell everyone that if you think you're giving 100%, your spouse only sees 50. So if you want them to think you're giving 100%, you have to give 200%. So many, many times we talk about, did you try couples counseling? Did you try a trial separation? So there's a lot of options before divorce. And then we always start with the most amicable. Can you mediate? Right. So we try to avoid court. We try to avoid, the restructuring. I don't like to say a broken family, the restructuring of families if possible. But a lot of it does come down to the work and effort you put in and communicating needs and wants and being on the same page. So often people are just not aligned, even when it comes to intimacy, tell people, it doesn't matter if you have sex once a day, once a week, once a month, or once a year. But if your partner wants sex once a day and you want sex once a year, it's not working. If you both want sex once a day, great. If you both want sex once a year, great. So really being aligned with intimacy, aligned with finances, right? As we know, a divorce agreement has two sections, custody and finances. And when one spouse is uninformed or not aligned with the financial strategies of your family, things are bound to spiral down. And of course, that can be prevented as well through communication and through bringing in third-party resources who can help.
Sure.
Yeah, it's of all, those are all the things that I had a recent client that he came to me and he was saying, things just aren't working. And he bounced back and forth. I want to stay. No, I don't want to stay. What's best? And called every lawyer that he could call and talk to and get all the free advice that he could give. And yet it come down to the part where it's just best that we just wait, because he was so worried about making the wrong choice now. And as much as we could talk, we talked on the phone and we still couldn't get anywhere because they just weren't ready to commit. And like you were saying, mental health issues. He was dealing with a mental health issue. And so that was one of my things, is that if we're going to work together, you have to be working with a therapist. And so we had to get them on, he was on medication and everything to make everything work better for him. And so when he was calmed down, that's when he finally made the choice that, we'll move, we'll get back closer to family so that we have the support that we need, and then we'll get into counseling and working on the relationship.
It's a lot of steps and it's not easy, right? It really isn't. And it's also, making sure that you're both in the same place. Often there's someone who's blindsided, there's someone who initiates it, there's often someone who says, wow, I'm really surprised, or I didn't think we were near here, or I lost track of, I thought I was raising the kids and he was working and we were just going through the motions, but we weren't connecting. So connecting is key. And if you're not finding it with your spouse, you're going to find it with someone else.
You're right. And I want to go back to what you said, Susan, about financial intimacy,
Mhm.
because I think, if being a guy, and, I am certainly a man, and if you ask most men what intimacy is, their first answer, ladies, is
Sex.
sex, right?
Yeah.
Most men, not all men, most men. And if you ask a woman what intimacy is, she says emotional connection, right?
Yeah.
I want to be
Mhm.
heard, understood, valued, appreciated. Who doesn't? And so I think financial intimacy is really important. And when we talk about betrayal, betrayal could be another relationship, right? It could be adultery, it could be infidelity, but it can also be there's financial adultery. It's like, and it doesn't really matter. When you violate somebody, you violate them. It might be sexually, but if I do something financially that is against what I've agreed to with my partner, with my wife, I'm lying to her, I'm cheating, I'm stealing, I'm spending, and I'm lying about it. That's infidelity, right? It's the same lack of commitment and the compromise, and people think, well, I haven't slept with anybody. I haven't, I'm dedicated. But if they're making those financial decisions outside the relationship, or keeping money secret, or doing things and not telling their partner, or violating rules they've agreed upon, that's just as bad. Just as bad. You've broken trust. And
Yes.
and broken trust is really a non-starter in really any relationship. So I loved what you said about financial intimacy. And if we back up, it's really asking those questions, hopefully before you're in marriage or early on in the marriage, like, what are your needs around finances? You talked about the 5 love language. How do you like to be loved? Not how do I want to love you, but how do you like to be loved? Am I meeting those needs? And I was just talking to somebody who does financial literacy, and that's a huge conversation before marriage, because you can't just say, well, I do it this way and you do it that way, because if it doesn't work harmoniously, it's going to be a recipe for disaster.
Yes, very true.
I agree. So that is, we go back, going through all of those aspects. I go to my first marriage, and our biggest fights were always over money. There was our actual sexual intimacy and my intimacy as the female. Those things were being met, but the finances just conversations never went well with those. And they went to the point that he would start drinking before he'd come home. And then through the course of the end of my marriage, I ended up with a broken hand, separated ribs, a dislocated leg. Those types of things weren't abuse in the beginning. Those weren't things that we saw. And back then, and I just did a post about this, when those types of things led to our divorce. And when I got divorced, Susan, there was no such thing as divorce coaches. So I
Yes.
did everything wrong. I waited for 4 years before I filed. I left. I lived with another man because it was the only safe place that I could go. My family didn't support me until after all of that broke loose. And I went to my mom. She tried to get me and my husband back together. And so my whole family was invited over for Thanksgiving, and he took me down and put me in a chokehold. And
Mm.
I chose not to fight because it was in my mom's home. And after that, my mom was like, "Oh my gosh, I never knew that." I'm like, "Why do you think I was divorcing him? Why? I've told you these things." So can you tell us then, Susan, back then we didn't have divorce coaches, but why does somebody want to hire a divorce coach and an attorney?
It absolutely. And same thing with me. Like when I went through my divorce, I did not know about certified divorce coaching. I believe it started pretty much the same year I got divorced. So it was very small. It hadn't been a household name. And what I tell everyone is that even though I had an amazing attorney, I loved my attorney, amazing, but attorneys are a lot of money. Attorneys work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. They're often busy with other clients. They often don't give you their cell phone number to text on you. And they went to law school for a reason, to deal with the law. They did not go to deal with the emotions of, should I keep the house? What is the holiday schedule going to look like? So I truly believe in the team approach, as far as use your attorney for the legal aspects and use your coach for the emotional aspects at a fraction of the price. Right. So even though you're paying 2 people, you're saving thousands of dollars because you're going in to your attorney prepared. You're saying, I thought about what I want to do with the house, and here it is. Thought about a schedule for the kids, and here it is. And I talk about the word, and this is not my phrase, it's Tina Swithin's, but radical acceptance. What is realistic? If someone comes to me and says, I want to keep the house, the pension, and the kids, I say the chance of that happening is very slim, right? So a coach brings in the reality. A coach brings in the helping them deal with emotions so they can gain clarity, go into the attorney or mediator prepared and knowing their ideal situation, knowing their bottom line, helping them communicate with their soon-to-be ex, helping them communicate to their children, helping make sure the details are in the contract and done right the first time so they don't have to go back to court or mediation. And I really use the football analogy of you do the thinking work with your certified divorce coach, and then you go into your attorney as the client. You are now wearing the football coach hat, and your attorney is the football quarterback, and you are asking them to, put it into legalese, if that makes sense. So a coach can give the client what they need to help their attorney. Some attorneys are proactive, some are reactive, but if you are a client, you are strategically working with your attorney to get them moving forward, to overcome any obstacles, to achieve their goals, and to save money while you're doing it. So believe it or not, a coach, a successful and a good coach will do all of that for you.
Amen.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I don't think many people go, if I'm working with two people, it's going to cost me more. But the attorney is not equipped to deal with a lot of the things that you talked about that I'm sure that you and Tina work with. It's all the intangibles. It's all the not the maybe, how do you feel about this? What do you want? What's most important to you? They're not coaching you through making those tough decisions. So you're going in with a plan in advance and having them be the last person that you go to. And I think I really liked what you had to say about using the attorneys the right way, because they're going to get paid by the hour no matter what. It doesn't matter what the outcome is, doesn't matter. And they're needed and necessary, no doubt. I've used them often in business, but using somebody wisely as opposed to really not having control. And I think control, I'd love to hear you talk about, Susan, the whole idea of control, because that seems like that is such a big elephant in the room, because people coming out of a relationship, they don't have control and they want it back, or they want to change things and because they want to control what happens. So how do you deal with that whole issue of control with your client, or as they face their partner they're separating from, and handling that effectively?
Great question. So, divorce is a change, and a change is scary. And when someone has a change and when someone's scared, they feel out of control. What I do as a certified divorce coach is help them with the mindset of, yes, this is scary, and yes, it's a change, but we're going to look at it as an opportunity. We're going to get to that next chapter of bliss that you want and deserve. We're going to make sure that you thrive and not just survive. And so helping them realize that likely, if they have a high conflict ex, like Tina and I often deal with clients who do, that their ex enjoys triggering them. And I tell my clients, I say, I'm not unrealistic to know that your ex isn't going to trigger you. That's of course they are. What I'm asking you is, don't show your ex that, because if you show your ex that they trigger you, they will not stop anytime soon. So there is something called gray rock when you have no children together, to just cut all contact. But when you do have children together, there's something called yellow rock. And those people who follow One Mom's Battle, which is, for women going through custody battles, yellow rock is how to talk to your ex, ideally in a parenting app, right? So everything is documented, when to respond, how to not let them trigger you. So it's communicating with only via an app, not in person or on the phone or over text or email, because text and emails the date and timestamp can be changed. You're not sure if it was read. They can be adjusted. So I always recommend a parenting app. But if you have to see your ex, I give them strategies. Pretend you're putting on your Superman or Superwoman cape. Pretend you're putting on your astronaut helmet, right? You're gearing up to help you breathe. If your ex is triggering you, pretend that you have to go to the bathroom. Pretend you have diarrhea and you have to walk away. Don't be in the same room with them. Pretend your phone is ringing. Pretend you forgot something. Say you'll be back. But just do not let it get escalated, because that's where you lose control. What do you have control over? Not always people, not always situations, but you have control over your reaction to people, your reaction to situations. So if you, even if inside you're screaming, can act calm and not show your ex that they are triggering you, they will think that you are a gray rock and not be interested and move on to something else. So the best thing is to not let it be known. I talk about, if life was a pizza pie, you are allowed to have your ex have one slice of pizza if they have children together. If there's no children together, once they're done, there's no need to talk once assets and debts are divided. But when you have children together, that ex will still be in their life, because there's graduations and weddings and grandchildren's first birthday parties. So you allow them one slice of pizza, but they can't overflow into your children, your extended family, your new partner, your alone time, your hobbies, your work. And so giving clients that strategy of how to navigate it, how to set boundaries, how and when to respond, and how not to give them what they want, how to stay classy when you look back, knowing that you did stay classy, you were the role model you wanted for if you have children. And if you time hop 3 to 5 years into the future, how do you want it to be? And if that's how you want it to be, how are you acting now so we can get you there?
Great response. Thanks for addressing that and how people could deal with those control issues that they might be feeling about themselves and wanting it or not wanting to be controlled.
I also tell people the reality is your ex will come up on your mind, right? But I try to use like visuals. I say, you know, technically think of your ex as trash. And I know my trash days, my garbage days are Tuesday and Friday, right? And when I take out my trash, I don't go back and check it. So I also say, don't go check your ex's social media. Don't drive by the place your ex is. Just, you know, the best revenge is living your best life and moving on and not looking back. And I know, again, it's easier said than done. So I give people grace and I say, pick 1 to 2 times a day where you are allowed to think about your ex. So I'll think about my ex when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning and at night, or I'll think about my ex when I'm drinking my morning coffee, right? But any other time that your ex pops up in your mind, refuse to let them occupy your time and say, I'm not going to think about that until I brush my teeth tonight. And so it's not repressing those feelings. It's saying there's a time and place. So if you shower, only going to think about my ex while I'm washing my hair. That's it. I'm not giving him the power to consume me because they're throwing often lots of fireballs at you. And how to deal with which fireballs, when, how to prioritize. These are all things that a certified divorce coach can help clients figure out how to navigate so they can get through it smoothly, they can sleep better at night, and really be in that happiness that they want in that next chapter.
Yeah, and with all of that, that's super important because those are things that an attorney is not trained to do.
Correct.
And yet every attorney that I've worked with, they'll sit there and listen to you for the
Yeah.
whole hour or 2 hours and
Yeah.
take all your money and not be able to help you one bit
Yeah.
because you're paying the attorney to listen to you and they'll do that. So the divorce coach can actually help you with that where the attorney can't. So that's hugely important because that's where the savings come in when you deal with the attorney.
And I do also differentiate a therapist from a coach. I tell everyone, if you have a therapist, keep them. If you need one, I have resources all over the country. I can find you one. See your therapist every Tuesday at 10, right? I encourage them. A therapist is trained to heal their past. A coach is trained to help someone pivot and get unstuck. We are trained in divorce. A therapist is not trained in divorce, and we're trained in strategy, right? How to help them, whether it's baby steps or giant leaps and bounds, leave with an action plan. You don't leave with an action plan each time you have a therapy session. Ideally, you should be leaving with an action plan each time you finish a divorce coaching session. So, you know, knowing some of my clients see me twice a week, some twice a month, some twice a season. It's as much or as little as they want, but I know that they're seeing their therapist once a week using that team approach.
Yeah. Yeah. And I work a little bit different where I work with my clients on a weekly basis. Um, Most of my clients, like you had mentioned, they come to us and they're frantic.
Yeah.
And so that's where I work with my clients. That's my recommendation to them is that we meet at least once a week. And in some cases, I have had to meet with clients 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
same
just,
thing. It ebbs and flows, right?
mhm.
Sometimes it is more and less if they have trial coming up, or if there's a post-divorce issue or something like that, emotion coming. So depending on what they need, we're
Mhm.
there for them. And, you know, making sure that they feel like we're a lifeline. They're not alone. So many people going through divorce feel alone. And when you have a coach, you know you're not alone.
Right.
And it was fun to hear you. I love clarifying. A lot of people don't know what coaching is. And coaching, I think you said it correctly, and I'd expand on it a little bit and say coaching takes you from where you are now to where you want to be.
Yeah.
And we're going to help you develop action plans and help help hold you accountable. We're not going to call you and say, did you do it yet? And how come you haven't done it yet? But we're going to give you the plans and support you to figure out the best path to get to where you want to be. So it's practical, it's actionable. We may look at the past to be informed by it and understand how you got here, but we're not trying to go back and heal and change. That's therapy. And if you need that because there's issues that haven't been resolved, yeah, you do need to work with a therapist. And I think that most people, if they don't need that therapy piece, fail to understand the accountability and the actionable items in coaching. And I think that's huge. And you also said boundaries. And I think probably, I bet this is a safe statement. I don't like saying all and none because those absolutes usually aren't true. But I bet most people arrive at divorce because they've not been able to set or respect boundaries of some kind. Might be financial, might be sexual, it might be financial, right? And I think learning, tell me how, Susan, how do you help if they haven't done it successfully in their relationship, they failed at those boundaries, and that's why they're here. What do you do with clients to teach them how to set the boundaries that are going to serve them so they can move forward?
So I do believe that ideally it's not a skeleton divorce agreement. Ideally, it's very detailed. And so using that as a reference, and an amicable divorce, you sign it, you put it in the drawer, and hopefully you don't have to pull out your divorce agreement. But if it's high conflict, which Tina and I often have clients who are, they're constantly having post-divorce abuse issues. And so one way to deal with boundaries is to be able to enforce the agreement. This is the schedule. This is the financial parts you owe. This is the decision-making for the children. So having a solid agreement to set those boundaries and knowing you can go back and enforce it if it's not is key. Now, during the divorce, while you don't have an agreement in process, sometimes you can set a memorandum of understanding related to custody or finance if you're mediating. And sometimes if you're litigating, you can ask the judge for temporary parenting schedules, temporary support monies, just to also have those court orders as stated to enforce those. And it's, again, how you respond, using canned responses, trying to only respond in a professional way. I tell people, your ex is nothing if you have no children together. But if you have children together, they are the business partner you have, and your business is raising your children. And so a very business-like, non-emotional response. And it, just kind of stating the facts, knowing if it's an emergency and you have to respond, or if they're asking about something that's frivolous or that you've already answered. I love to give my clients canned responses that are really court approved. So it puts the ex in place and shows that they are being a jerk pretty much. So using these skills really can make a difference. And the parenting apps, I recommend the Our Family Wizard, but there's certainly Talking Parents and App Close, and anything where you can just have it, document it so that they cannot gaslight you, so they can't manipulate you. It's all there and easy and black and white.
Mm-hmm. Those are all really good. I like Family Wizard a little bit better, but a lot of my clients have used Talking Parents as well. One of the things that I have my clients do is I have them open up a new Gmail account, and I have them BCC that account with everything, their communications with their attorney, their communications with their ex. That way that they can prove that their time stamp is the same as the time stamp in the other email. And nobody ever knows about that email. It's just a protection, and it's where I have them make their notes about what took place and email it to that, because again, it's the time stamp aspect.
And I can say, we've talked a little about post-divorce abuse. I can say that when you're divorcing a high conflict individual, an unstable individual, someone who has anger issues or personality issues or addiction issues, Really, you need to do a lot of pre-divorce work and get your ducks in order pre-divorce. And one of the things I do say, besides like what you said, is creating an email account, taking videos of your home, taking pictures of sentimental things or expensive things, really getting your ducks financially in order, making sure if your children have a therapist or not, making sure you're talking to the school counselor and the pediatrician. So there's a lot of pre-divorce things that you can do as well. And I always say that a certified divorce coach is a great first phone call, not an attorney, right? Because people will constantly say, I want the best attorney. The best attorney for Joe is not the best attorney for Mike. So certified divorce coaches can match you with the best attorney for your specific needs. They can help you get all your pre-divorce ducks in order so you're ready to go, how to say it, when to say it, and what your next steps are. And really going back to helping them feel in control from day one, not swimming upstream, trying to readjust everything that has spiraled out of control.
Yes. And we're getting ready to come to the end, and we've got about 10 minutes. So, Susan, we've talked about all of this. So how can our viewers get a hold of you? I know that all of your information is going to be in the show notes below, but how can our viewers find you?
So I do have my phone number that I tell everyone, 551-444-2609. I offer a complimentary call. I literally tell my clients they can call me 24/7, text me 24/7. I turn off my phone when I sleep, so no one will wake me. And I have my website, the www.divorcecoachplus.com. I also have the new website for families that have special needs children that I do with my partner, Mary Ann Hughes, who's based out of Texas. She's the partner I have. So she focuses on amicable divorce with special needs families. I focus on high conflict divorce with special needs families. But that website is great. It's www.divorcewithspecialneedschildren.com. So any of those ways, but really just a call or a text. I'm there for people. You are not alone. This is why we went into it, to help you get through it.
Amen.
Yes.
And Matthew,
Yes.
tell us about you.
Yeah, I'm a core energy coach. I got most of my training through Gottman certified programs and through my training to get my ICF, International Coaching Federation certification. My training partner is IPEC, the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching. And my superpower is communication and teaching men and women how to master that art so they can co-create the relationship of their dreams. And if you want to learn more about me or my programs, I'd go to matthewphoffman.com. And for everyone listening today, I also give out a free coaching session, because until you have experienced it and you see if you relate well with somebody as a partnership and we work together, but my goal is not to tell you what to do, but to help you get to where you want to be in your most important human relationship. So you can sign up at the website. You can find me on LinkedIn or Facebook at Matthew P. Hoffman.
Well, great. And I'm a certified divorce coach, meaning that I'm trained in the complexities of divorce. I've also experienced, along with my father and my late husband, the abuse that can take place. So not only do I have the knowledge, I also have the experience of what I've been through. I can be reached through my email at coachtinalynn@gmail.com. That's CoachTinaLynn@gmail.com. And my website is divorcecoachspecialist.com. And I can also be reached on social media under Facebook under Tina Lynn Huggins. That's Huggins. On LinkedIn under Tina Huggins. On Instagram under Divorce Coach Tina Lynn. On TikTok under Divorce Tina. And so we can be found on all of these platforms. And so you can go and follow any one of us and see what we're doing and where we're at. So Susan, I like to ask everybody what the last little bit of information that you would want our viewers to know.
What I like to tell people is just hope for the future related to talking about power and control. Do not give your ex the power to say, that's it, I'm never dating again. I'm never talking to someone again, right? then you're giving them the power to affect your future. So I always say, trust that there are good people out there. Know that there is happiness in that next chapter for you, and believe in love, and know that things will get better. And there are people like the three of us here today who will be there to assist people to make sure it gets better for them.
Yes, yes. And so what advice would you like to give, Matthew?
I think there are definitely circumstances and causes that bring you to divorce as the right next option. Abuse, is certainly one of them, mental or physical, and nobody should have to endure that and be able to get out of it and be safe. So, but if you and your partner, if the commitment is there, the foundation of any good relationship is commitment. And if you and your partner say, we're committed to trying to make this work, before you head down that road to divorce with a professional like Susan or Tina, I'd love to talk to you. Or if you have gone through this process with them and you're saying, I want a new relationship, but I don't want to end up where I was, what do I need to do differently? Let's talk. And I'd love to help you plant those seeds and get those things in place so you can build on success, because I think that everybody truly, Tina and Susan, is deserving and capable of a relationship that gives them all the things they'd love to have.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Susan feels the same way, but I would prefer that a family stay together. But when there's abuse involved, and in my case where it got physical, it was just better for me to go elsewhere, to leave that situation, because it was progressively getting worse and worse. And so those are the only times where I would say, let's get you out. But I would prefer that people try and make their relationship work. And working with a relationship coach like yourself is a way to build and to learn about themselves and what they can do better, because that's how we make any relationship, even our relationships with each other. It's us who has to do the work, not the other person.
I do say the same thing, similar, very similar. I'm not pro-divorce. I'm pro no one being stuck in a miserable situation. So we either fix it or we get you out as smoothly as possible. So I agree.
Mm-hmm. So my advice is to hire the divorce coach first.
Yeah.
Well, first would be to hire Matthew, try to make it work. And then before you go to get the divorce, hire the divorce coach first. Don't go to the attorney first, because you might not get the right attorney. And divorce coaches can help you build the right team. And sometimes you need people like a CDFA versus another money financial analyst, or you need to have a divorce realtor that can help you set things in motion, or a divorce mortgage lender. Those are the types of people that you want to work with, and a divorce coach has those in their back pocket. The other bit of advice that I always give is that if you are involved in a situation right now that your life is in danger, call 911, or in the UK 999. Get them there. Press charges. Do not take the charges off. If you take the charges off, things will only get worse after that. Those charges are your key out of that relationship. It is how you get out of the door. So the other thing is if you know or are involved in domestic violence, please call the domestic violence hotline at 800-799-7233. That number again is 800-799-7233. And if this has been helpful to you, please like, comment, and share this information with others. I thank you very much, Susan, for being with us today. And I thank you, Matthew, for being my co-host. Thank you guys so much.
My pleasure.
Yes, me too. Thank you.